What's up guys, Bevel here. Today we're going to talk about setting up a machine for flux core arc welding. Today we're running the Lincoln Electric S350. The reason why we picked this machine is because it has a top feeder and exterior wire feeder. Now in the past we did the MIG setup on a interior wire feeder, so we're just going to do something different. It's pretty much the same, but so you guys see if you ever get in the field and use a machine like this. First off, we can get this bad boy turned on and ready to go. Takes it a minute or two to get a few seconds to get fired up. We're going to talk about how you take the wire off and put wire back on. So when you get to the shop, you never know what type of wire is going to be on the machine, but you know what type of wire you need to put on the machine. So in this case, we're going to take this flux core off, then we're going to show you how to put the flux core back on. But you may come into a situation where we have MIG wire on here and you need to set up for flux. So it's going to show you how to set everything up. First off, whenever you've been welding, there's normally a ball at the end of your wire after you've welded with it. So first thing we want to do is we want to take our welpers here, cut that ball off so that wire can be spun back up into the gun onto the roll. We'll take some of our consumables off. We're going to get rid of the nozzle here, spin it off. We're going to take that contact tip off. That way it's easy to spool the wire back up, and then when we put the new wire on, it's easier for it to feed back out. So now we're going to come over to here. Like I said, it's the exterior wire feeder. First thing we're going to do is we're going to release the tension on the rollers. This particular machine just has a cover that pops off. Now once we pop it off, we want to take this cover off. This particular machine has 4 rollers on it. It's kind of a high-end machine. It is possible for your machine to only have 2 rollers. So we want to release the rollers now, fold them up. We're going to take some of the pressure off this wire so we can spool it back onto the roll. Now it's very important to keep one hand on the loose end of wire. That way when it gets all the way to the end, it doesn't bird's nest and make a mess around our roll. And it takes a minute to get all this wire rolled back, but this way we don't waste any wire by just clipping it off. So we got our wire spooled back up. We're going to stick it through one of these holes on the roll and bend it over. That way it can't spool off. We're going to unclip the roll. We're going to slide it off, and now it's ready for a different type of wire. So let's look at the rollers before we put our new wire on. This had 045 rollers in it because we're running 045 wire. We're actually going to be putting 045 back on, but if you had to change these, this particular machine, you just pop these loose and they hang on there pretty good. But you want to pop those loose. Now some rollers have multiple sizes on them. This is 045 on this side and 045 on this side. Now some have different sizes, so you need to make sure you line up the right size with what wire we have. So all 4 of them are 045. We're going to pop this one back into place. It's ready to roll. Now we're going to put our new roll of wire on. Super important, there's a tab on all of your wire feeders, and we're going to use that tab and line it up with one of the holes on the wire roll. That keeps this roll from just spinning around willy-nilly. Let's get that lined up. We're going to take our wire, and I'm actually going to grab the welpers. This can save us a lot of hassle right here. We're just going to cut off that bent over piece of wire instead of trying to straighten it out and fight it. We'll just cut it off to good clean wire. Now we're going to take this wire and we're going to try to feed it into the rollers. This can be a little bit tricky, especially a 4-roller system like this. We want to feed that through, and we're going to try our best to get it all the way up into the gun to where the rollers can just feed her right through and not have any problems. So we got it fed into the gun now. We're going to clamp those rollers down. I'm going to put this cover back on. That protects the wire and keeps it from being pushed out the side of the rollers if they ever run into any type of problem. So we've got those tightened up. We're going to close the cover, put tension on the rollers now. Now, as you can see, this machine, I spooled the wire off the bottom of the roll into the rollers, because that's how this machine's set up. See, if I would have spooled the wire off the top of the roller, it would have been at a sharp angle going into the drive roll system. So you always want to pay attention to that. Every machine's a little bit different, so you need to make sure you pay attention to how it's set up. Now that we got tension on the rollers, we're ready to spool wire through. This machine's a nice high-end model, so we can either pull the trigger like you can on every machine and let it feed wire, but this particular machine has a wire feeder toggle switch. Now, before I get too crazy there, you want to make sure you put the clip back on the roll, because that roll could fall off of there and cause a mess. So now that I got it all set up, we're going to hit the toggle switch, let it push that wire through. Now you want to try to keep your gun stretched out as straight as possible so it doesn't have any problem feeding that wire all the way through there. Now that our wires came all the way through the gun, we're going to get our consumables back. We want to make sure we line these consumables up with the size wire. 045 wire, so I'm going to put an 045 contact tip. Slide that over and spin it in. And we want to grab our nozzle, put it back on. Now with flux core, we run a 3/4 inch stick out. So that's about how far we're going to keep our gun away from the material as we're welding. That's how far the wire should be stuck out. Now this thing's ready to weld with.